are some inherent truths about most politicians that cannot be denied. Most are at least marginally corrupt. They care far more about their political careers than their constituents. And a lot of them have massive egos, which in some cases lead to their downfalls. Enter New York's Governor Andrew Cuomo, the son of a three-term New York governor. Andrew never had to work too hard. His path was pretty much paved by Dad. And Cuomo embraced power the same way that so many awful people do, by abusing it. In Cuomo's mind, no woman could ever say no. Of course, he's the king of New York. Today, the Attorney General of this state, Letitia James, released her sexual harassment report. Now, a quick primer on this. Tish James is the same AG who promised to get Trump by whatever means necessary as she campaigned for Attorney General. So she's kind of awful. Tish James also wants Andrew Cuomo's job. So she has a clear agenda in all this. And today, Miss James broadcasted her message like she was auditioning for something. It was fairly painful to watch, like any bad acting we see in Washington, D.C. A woman who just wants Andrew Cuomo out of the way. But leaving all that aside, let's just enjoy watching a liberal hack devour one of the biggest names in her own party. Here's Tish James confirming all 11 of Andrew Cuomo's accusers are credible.
Governor Andrew Cuomo sexually harassed current and former New York State employees by engaging in unwelcome and non-consensual touching and making numerous offensive comments of a suggestive and sexual nature that created a hostile work environment for women.
Interestingly enough, the investigation did find unlawful conduct. It did find unlawful conduct, but the Attorney General will not be pursuing any charges against Cuomo. You can clearly see this was very much politically orchestrated. Just hit Cuomo hard enough to get him out of office, but don't hurt him or the party unnecessarily by bringing up criminal charges. We save that for Republicans only. James is the Attorney General, but says it's on other localities to bring charges because her job here is done. Sure. At the end of the day, these are the same people who investigated Trump nonstop for purely political purposes, so you shouldn't be surprised. Here's more from today's news conference.
The executive chamber's workplace culture, one rife with bullying, fear, and intimidation on the one hand, while normalizing frequent flirtations and gender-based comments by the governor on the other, created the conditions that allowed the sexual harassment and retaliation to occur and to persist.
One executive assistant described an instance where Cuomo pulled her in for a hug, reached under her blouse, and grabbed her breast. On several occasions, she says that he grabbed her butt. Cuomo had a state trooper moved to his personal protective service before she was even qualified and proceeded to harass her on multiple occasions as well. She describes an incident where he ran his hands across her body and made comments that are too sultry for me to even say on this show. Cuomo did this privately for years while publicly portraying himself as exactly the opposite of this. In a now priceless tweet from 2013, there should be a zero-tolerance policy when it comes to sexual harassment and must send a clear message that this behavior is not tolerated. Andrew Cuomo 8 years ago. Obviously, zero tolerance was a bridge too far for Cuomo. He should have carved out just a small amount of tolerance for his own behavior. Not zero tolerance per se, maybe a little bit of tolerance, maybe one tolerance for himself. But isn't this just the best part of politics? Again, we watch the phony, pious left. A governor demanding an end to all inappropriate behavior from all men in all circumstances while he runs around playing grab ass in Albany. And then there's this incredible twist. Today, investigators effectively said that Cuomo's own pandering policies to the Me Too movement came back to bite him on the butt, which at least is one thing the governor hasn't been accused of doing to anyone else, at least not yet.
The governor himself, in August of 2019, passed a law that eliminated in New York State the requirement that harassing conduct needed to be severe or pervasive. In New York, a woman need only show that she was treated less well, at least in part, because of her gender. The governor's conduct, detailed in the report, clearly meets and far exceeds this standard.
So Cuomo, pandering to Me Too, makes the standards just so low to get any kind of sexual harassment claim, right? And the whole time he's just breaking all these rules. I mean, you can't make it up. You gotta love the Democrats, because there's one thing you can count on: they're always going to break their own rules, because they love to make rules and they don't like to follow them. Check out COVID if you don't believe that. And now, because they are the party of the woke, the party of Me Too, Democrats, of course, will have no choice but to eat one of their own. 1 year ago, Andrew Cuomo was all set to be a presidential contender. And let me just illustrate to you how difficult it is to find these people. It's hard as hell to find people that can run this country. Look at the people that run this country. It's really hard to find presidential material. Remember how much of the media fawned over Andrew Cuomo in the early days of COVID. We all saw this coming.
Governor Cuomo out there day after day after day, everything Trump isn't. Honest, direct, brave.
Real leadership of the kind the President of the United States should have provided.
Governor Cuomo has become a national leader.
For a lot of people, Andrew Cuomo has become the leader of the Democratic Party.
He is conveying incredible strength.
This has been a remarkable show of leadership by Governor Cuomo in recent days. He's providing hope, but not false hope.
How many times are we going to watch these people make idiots of themselves? Isn't it just fascinating? It's so incredible to watch. Between Cuomo and Avenatti, Democrats really know how to pick their poster boys. I mean, this is now the second person that was going to be the next president of the United States has just fallen so far. It's amazing to watch. Now top Democrats are forced to do the unthinkable. They're going to have to end a top Democrat's career, and they're doing it right now. President Biden, House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, Majority Leader Schumer, even the leader of his biggest city, Mayor Bill de Blasio, all top Democrats saying, Cuomo, you gotta go. But as expected, the governor is going to barricade himself inside the governor's mansion. Why? Because he's a career politician and he's got no other options.
I want you to know directly from me that I never touched anyone inappropriately or made inappropriate sexual advances. I am 63 years old. I've lived my entire adult life in public view. That is just not who I am, and that's not who I have ever been.
New York Assembly Speaker Carl Heastie released this statement earlier. The governor has lost the confidence of the Assembly Democratic majority, and he can no longer remain in office. There will be a quick vote to impeach Cuomo. It could even happen this week, and it's hard to imagine many will be able to justify any kind of acquittal on this, because they're going to have to answer for that. The president himself was asked about Cuomo today several times. Probably pretty hard, pretty awkward. Biden himself has been credibly accused of not only just weird touching, but full-blown sexual assault by a woman named Tara Reid. Cuomo is following the Joe Biden playbook on this. Listen to Biden back in 2019.
I want to talk about gestures of support and encouragement that I've made to women and some men that have made them uncomfortable. And I always tried to be, in my career, I've always tried to make a human connection. That's my responsibility, I think. I shake hands, I hug people, I grab men and women by the shoulders and say, you can do this. And whether they're women, men, young, old, it's the way I've always been. It's the way I've tried to show I care about them and I'm listening.
So you have that, and here's Cuomo today.
I do kiss people on the forehead. I do kiss people on the cheek. I do kiss people on the hand. I do embrace people. I do hug people, men and women.
So just like Biden only responded to the lesser allegations, Cuomo does as well, telling story after story of just touching people's faces and necks, avoiding responding to the allegations that were laid out by a Democrat attorney general, saying that he was grabbing private parts and doing a whole lot more.
Hey, I'm Rob Finnerty. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please join the conversation in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe, too. Hit the bell icon to be alerted to breaking news. And remember, there's a whole lot more on Newsmax TV, America's fastest growing cable news network. Newsmax TV, we're real news for real people.